Okay, let's now connect with Swaminathan Aiyar, consulting editor with ET Now. Swami, always good to have you back on ET Now. Swami, Barack Obama has climbed the election hurdle, but now he faces the fiscal cliff. Considering that it's a decisive win and the fact that Democrats have a much stronger, say in the Congress now, do you think Barack Obama's bargaining power have increased?
Well, gridlock is a fact of life, but yes, the scale of his victory, I think, definitely improves his bargaining power vis-a-vis the cliff. I think the Republicans themselves will be under pressure to say, look, you went to town on this great thing of, under no circumstances will there be any tax cuts for anybody. And where did it take you? It did not take you very far either in the presidential election or in the Senate elections. So definitely psychologically, there will be some pressure on the Republicans to be less rigid than before. But nevertheless, some kind of gridlock, it's not going to go away.
Swami, you expect a last-minute fix by year end, or do you think could it spill to early Jan as well?
Oh, it could definitely spill over to January. I said brinkmanship is the name of the game. And as I say, the truth is that even if you go across the deadline of January 31st, the country continues functioning. So I wouldn't be surprised if brinkmanship takes you into early January. But I really would imagine that something is patched up and there will be no fiscal cliff after all.
I guess you're right, Swami. In politics, nobody wants to negotiate because that automatically means weakness. Swami, equity markets were hoping for a Romney win. Now that Obama is back in the White House, can we see some correction, or will largely, or markets will now focus on fiscal cliff and Eurozone news flow?
For 1 or 2 days, you might see some kind of mood change. But all this is mixed up with so many other things. I mean, Obama's victory has come with some bad news from Europe. The growth rate in Europe is now going to be 0 next year, according to the latest projections, down from only 1% earlier. Mario Draghi has made some very discouraging remarks. So, I mean, things have got mixed together. The markets today opened almost 2% lower. But I would not say that is just because Obama won. It is equally because of the bad news from Europe.
Right. Swami, in his speech, Obama said that he was, or rather he has never been so hopeful about the economy. Do you share his optimism?
I don't. The markets don't. Certainly there is no such thing. I mean, Obama is welcome to have the audacity of hope. But by now it's a pretty worn out theme. The fact is the United States is having a slow grind upward. It is recovering slowly. The external conditions are nowhere near as good as they used to be. So it's going to be a long, hard grind. There's going to be no great soaring of the economy.
Swami, let's talk about the AAA rating of US, which clearly is under threat. Now, Fitch in its recent report has said that they expect the Treasury Secretary to implement extraordinary measures by the year end to maintain borrowing capacity under the current debt ceiling, and failure to reach any agreement could force a relook at the AAA status. What, to your mind, are the likelihood of this?
Standard & Poor's tried to downgrade the AAA status. The result is the guy who did the downgrading, he is the one who got kicked out. So it's all very well to talk in these terms. It makes a certain amount of stir. But at the end of it all, as we saw, after Standard & Poor's downgraded the USA, what happened? Did everybody flee the dollar? No, sir. The dollar was seen as the safe haven. The money came in. So Fitch may issue various warnings because they are worried about what's happening on the American deficit. But will America lose its AAA status? After having seen what happened in the case of Standard & Poor's, I really find it very difficult to see Fitch doing the same.
Swami, return of Obama also emphasized that easy liquidity is going to continue, and there might be QE 4, 5, 6, how many ever. How do you read this for economies like India? On one hand, you might see strong fund inflows. On the other hand, inflation will continue to hurt it.
I do not think you can argue. I mean, it is true that easy liquidity is sending money towards India, and India right now is welcoming that. There is a current account deficit to be financed, and to that extent, India welcomes availability of global liquidity. The real increase in liquidity, however, is within the USA itself. And if it's not fueling inflation within the USA, it would be a real stress to say it's fueling inflation in India. No, sir. The Indian inflation is domestic, made by ourselves. It has very little to do with QE 2, 3, 4.
Swami, so to your mind, will the election outcome change the outlook for gold, crude?
Gold and crude? No, sir. There is nothing at all in the short term. In the slightly longer term, you could argue that had Romney come to power, I mean, he would have been gung-ho on building the Keystone pipeline, he would have been gung-ho on exporting natural gas, and to that extent there might have been greater world supply. But, I mean, these are much, much longer term things. I mean, the USA is not going to export natural gas till at least 2015, quite some time off. So as I said, short term, I don't expect an impact. And the longer term, who knows what all happens. On the other hand, you might well argue that Romney would have been much keener on bombing Iran and sending oil prices through the roof. I do not rule out the possibility that Obama may actually collaborate with Israel on this. It is possible, but it is much less likely than in a Romney presidency.
Okay, Swami, let's talk India. Like US, India is also currently facing an investment cliff. Do you expect measures like National Investment Board could provide a boost to the investments? And in terms of reform expectations, what do you expect from the government now?
No, this national board, I mean, you know, you can help cut through a little red tape here and there, but that will not change the overall climate. The overall climate right now is gloomy. I mean, not only is the global slowdown evident, there is this corruption stuff going on everywhere. There is great uncertainty as to whether the government will even survive the winter session of Parliament, because Mamata Banerjee has said she's going to move a no confidence motion. So, I mean, the government may survive till 2014, may well survive till 2014, but all these uncertainties are going to be there. So it's not as though the climate for investment is going to be gung-ho just because you raise the price of diesel by 5 rupees on one occasion, or you say let's have FDI in majority foreign retail. So, I mean, all these are positive measures. They have some small effect, but the overall climate is going to remain very subdued for some time.
Swami, and finally, we are indeed headed for a very interesting session of Parliament. Do you expect some of the recent reforms which government has announced to face stiff and tough opposition, or do you think it will be another unfruitful session with a lot of mudslinging from both the sides?
No, the government is welcome to introduce legislation on increasing the amount of foreign equity, shall we say, in insurance or anything else. Will it be able to get it passed in both houses of Parliament? Not a chance. I mean, it's actually somewhat short of a majority in the Lok Sabha and well short of a majority in the Rajya Sabha. Pranab Mukherjee used to say that, you know, without the BJP on my side, I cannot be sure of passing any legislation in both the houses. In the current mood, with the BJP yelling for the blood of these corrupt congressmen, is there going to be BJP cooperation in these matters? No, sir.